Hopefully you will hear me from home, those connected online. Can you please confirm on the chat? Hello? Okay, thank you, Marcel. So, hello everybody, and good afternoon. So this is a hybrid session, so some of you are here face-to-face, but mostly there are people from online. So this is Oscar Romero. I'm the Vice Dean of Postgraduate Studies, and this is the session to introduce you into the Master of Data Science of the Faculty of Informatics of Barcelona. Right? So this is just an overall information. This is a hybrid session that will be recorded. This recording will be later available on the internet, so in our website. So that's why we need to make this announcement, which is, in case you participate during this presentation, either with a question or activating your cam, you will be recorded. So please acknowledge this, and in case you participate, you will be recorded, okay? So let's start briefly with the faculty. For those of you who are not UPC students or FIP students, so FIP is the Barcelona School of Informatics that belongs to UPC, the Universitat Politécnica Universitat de Catalunya. This is the reference center for informatics studies. It was created, it's a pretty young university, faculty, which is from the 76, but in these 40 years, it's the reference faculty in South Europe and one of the reference ones in Europe. It's in charge of the bachelor degree, master degrees, especially in computer science and related subjects, right? So we are located close to the city center. We are pretty close to one of the exits called Diagonal. The building, the address is here in case you want to check where we are sitting. But basically, Barcelona is a small city compared to other big cities in the sense that you can be in the city center by metro in 20, 30 minutes and to other relevant areas in 15 minutes or so. So it's conveniently located in this point. So here you have also the contact information for our faculty. Here you have the web. You have also the email in case you have any question about the masters. And also our social networking. So here you have our Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram that you may want to follow us there. So what is the mission of FIP? So FIP, as I told you, is providing education in informatics engineering or computer science if you prefer. So we have two main missions. First, to promote the dissemination of information technologies and contribute to make better the society in the sense that informatics is a transversal tool that is affecting all other fields. And the other point of interest for us is to provide an extra background to the students, right? So the thing is that we want you to provide you with the right tools, so whatever you learn with us will be long-lasting and will help you to build on top of that with new knowledge. So we are prioritizing lasting concepts, promoting effective working habits and team working, and especially also important in our masters is that you are self-sufficient. So you learn to be autonomous and independent on your learning to keep going. So the faculty has a strong reputation indicators. I added some of them here. So if we check the international independent rankings, in the three top ones, Times Higher Education, the QS, and the new Best Global University rankings, in all of them is systematically ranked as the first university or the first faculty in computer science in Spain. And depending on the ranking, we are pretty highly ranked, even 37 in some of them, but always top 100 in the world, which is quite a good thing considering that the faculty is a public institution and we need to compete with the big sharks like the private universities in the States, right? So after this short introduction about the faculty, let's go for the details of the master. So basically, what I'm going to discuss with you now is what is exactly tackling this master, okay? This master just swifts around data. So data is the key cornerstone of this master, and basically data is the new element that is driving the world and the economy and most of the organizations nowadays. To present you with some data, this concept that I'm presenting now, that data is a very important asset for any organization, I just present here some data or information in some of the most important reports related to the job market and the situation of the job market in general, coming from these sources here. And basically, if we check them, since 2014, data science has been one of the highest, if not the highest sector with more expected growth. So it means that in developed societies like the United States, Europe, but also in others like Japan, all these reports agree that this is one of the sectors that are going to grow more in the next years. Indeed, it's growing since 2014, and it has not going down at all. So it's still growing high. So we have very optimistic forecasts about this growth. Some of them predict up to 20% growth per year, which is massive, right, for a field. Even more if we consider that in these current years, we are experiencing quite a few of economical turmoils. And if we consider them, the most pessimistic one is measuring it around 12%. So I've been working personally in this field for many years, and I must say that all these crises that we have been suffering, all the data science field has not been massively affected like other fields. Indeed, it has not been affected at all. Indeed, if we focus in Europe, the European Commission has developed what they call a data-driven economy strategy. So they want to promote this kind of a strategy, and they are just pumping a lot of money trying to transform the economy into a data-driven economy. This is what they call it, building European data economy. This is a strategy set up by the European Commission, and it's one of the important milestones set by them. If we check it, there are some numbers there. For example, in 2019, the data-driven economy in Europe was valued in 400 billion euro. At that moment, UK was part of these reports, okay, it was considered. But what is amazing is the yearly growth. In 2019, we were growing almost 7.6%, right? If we consider the whole IT sector, it was close to 5%. So we are growing much more than any other sector right now. And if we check how many professionals are working in data science, 3.6% of the total EU workforce is in this field. Again, they are estimating, this is I recall you that this is a European Commission report, so an official one, an increase of 5.5% yearly increase. Okay? But the most important thing, most probably for you, is that the European Union is systematically acknowledging that there is a gap, so people missing to fill this of 459,000 positions in Europe. So it's a lot of people that are really missing in this field. If we look to other more generic reports like the OECD and the European Commission itself, we can find strong claims like this one that I copied here. So big data and data science are key pillars in the 21st century source of growth. So they are acknowledging that the main growth of economies is around data-driven economy. And data-driven innovation is key for growth and well-being in our society. Okay, so if we look to any report related to data science, the numbers are bold and are high, right? But the question you may want to know is, but will this be sustained in the future? So will data still drive the future like we are doing now? So this is completely out of question, and for this I include this report from the EU data market and data economy, also created by the European Commission, and you have the link here. So they were trying to assess what will happen from now till 2025 in the post-COVID scenario. So they were acknowledging all the problems with COVID, okay? So they have a baseline scenario where the GDP of the European Union is growing 1.5%. In this case, they were expecting an annual growth of data science much higher, and they were accounting for a total of 550 billion euro in 2025. So we are talking that we are increasing quite high, and with an incidence that could go up to 4% in 2025. They were also considering in this report other scenarios, like high growth scenarios, so the economy is going very well, and we estimate that the GDP in Europe is growing 2.1%. In that case, just look at the bold number again. They were expecting 11.5% expected annual growth for data science for a total of 827 billion euros. So It's a lot of money that is going to be moved around this market. And again, the workforce is going to be pretty high increase, a steady increase of 5.9% for 2025. They also consider what they call a challenge scenario. What does it mean? A challenge scenario is probably what is happening now with Ukraine, right, and all the problems. So it's basically when they are not expecting to grow that much. They were expecting an overall growth, a cumulative growth of something smaller than 1% GDP. And still in this situation, they were expecting an annual growth of 3% and an incidence to up to 3.3%. So the bottom line, the key fact that you can find in this report is that even in the worst scenario, they are estimating almost 500,000 of missing opportunities or jobs. So the demand is going to grow, and still we are not filling all the jobs related to data science. So by 2025, hopefully you will be done with your master, and still you will be in a very positive scenario, regardless of the situation around. So the demand will still grow faster than supply. So, and why is that? No? Why all these reports are so positive? So basically because data science nowadays is acknowledged to be instrumental. So it means that it's traversal to any sector. So it's not an end by itself, it's a means. So it's basically used to be more efficient and accelerate transformation in other sectors. So in which sectors data science has had a bigger impact, or we expect to have a big impact in the next years? So healthcare, everything related with health, this is quite bold in data science. Transport and logistics, this is again one of the other key aspects where data science is hitting hard. How to generate new products and services and consider the experience that the users have with your products. And here we can consider absolutely anything. For example, the recommender of Netflix would be a key aspect that why Netflix is so relevant nowadays, no? Because they have a very nice service proposing and recommending to their users. So they are improving experience. Another one is to reduce costs. So can I predict, or how can I make my processes, my internal processes more effective? So in the end, what you are doing is saving money. And of course, improve sustainability and energy efficiency. This is one of the main topics nowadays in data science, because as you know, when we go to very hard techniques such as deep learning, the consumption of energy is very high. So one of the things that nowadays is pretty common is how to reduce or be more smarter when processing this kind of data analysis. Among many other examples, because we can find that almost every sector has been hit by data science, and it's going through an accelerated transformation. And indeed, if we look at the current situation of the market, what we find is that there are a lot of new sectors that have emerged from colliding data science with whatever sector, right? For example, now we talk about e-health, that most probably is one of the most relevant and where more money is being moved around. But smart cities, smart spaces, the famous e-banking, no? The industry 4.0, the new video game industry that is not anymore about creating in an artisanal manner the video games. Now everything is measured so that you can maximize the engagement of the players, which is what is interesting for them. So everything is measured, analyzed, and then you make decisions based on it. And this is happening, as I'm showing you, in whatever sector. So that's why the relevance of data nowadays. So some bad news, probably for the society, not for you, but the thing is that something that was alerted in this report that I was mentioning before, for example, here I'm mentioning 4 sources, all of them with the same claim. The European Commission, the Big Data Value Association, which is an association created in Europe to acknowledge the situation of data science in the world. The QuantCrunch report, which is something similar to VDA, but in the States, and mainly promoted by IBM. But then also we have similar statements for big data-driven companies like Facebook and Google, where they are claiming that the problem is that we have a very rigid educative offer, and that's why we are not fulfilling or meeting the requirements of the market, because the kind of data science that is needed by the market is not really what in some programs is being generated, right? So there is a gap between the demand and supply of skillful data science. And why is that? If we keep looking at these reports, there are mainly 2 reasons. So they claim that a data scientist must follow a multidisciplinary education. So it means that it should cover 3 pillars. okay? So data management, which means how to build and create complex data ecosystems. Second, how to perform advanced data analytics. So this is about data analysis. And the third one is to consider the business aspects, because in the end, what you need to do when you are doing data science, this is transversal to any other aspect. You need to acknowledge that what you are doing, your project, is going to bring value. So you need to have means to measure from the business perspective that your project is interesting. So if you want the data management and creating data management ecosystems is a pillar more related to computer science, data analytics is more related to mathematics, and the third one is more related to business development or entrepreneurship. In the end, what these reports claim is that data science must not only be able to do advanced analytics, which they must have the capacity to do so, but also to write code and create systems, because they need to put this into production, and these companies need to be able to develop products together with their internal processes that take advantage of data analysis, right? So again, the good news, right? So the thing is that if you are a data scientist that are going to obtain an education that meets the requirements from the market, you are going to be in a very good position in 2 years after the master to get an interesting job, right? So a few years ago, Harvard Business Report was claiming that data scientist is the sexiest job of the 21st century. What they really were claiming that was that it's the job with hottest prospects for the future. Also, the salaries in this sector are much higher in the rest of IT. So in some cases, it can go to up to 50 or 70% higher salaries. And a nice thing about this job as well is that there is an inherent innovative and research-oriented work. What does it mean? That you as a data scientist very rarely will be repeating the same process once and again and again and again. Depending on the project, depending on the domain, the project needs to be adapted. You need to bring innovation and research, because sometimes you will be tackling a topic that is completely new, so you need to research and learn from it. So it's challenging from this point of view, but from my point of view, this is also one of the good things about data science, no? Because it's a job that you may not get tired in short, right? And this is basically what we provide in this master. Now, when we were creating this master, what we wanted is to exactly meet the criteria that was set by these reports and try to create a master that meets all these requirements. So basically, we want to foster students with a multidisciplinary education, meeting the skills to become a successful data scientist. And what does it mean? Let's be specific, no? What kind of learning outcomes you will get from this master? So you have the main 4 here. So the first one will be identify and apply the most suitable data management methods and processes to manage the whole data lifecycle, including structured and unstructured data. So what does it mean? You should be able to create systems that are able to ingest data, organize it, regardless if it's structured data like a database, but you also need to acknowledge that nowadays we need to analyze absolutely anything. So you need also to be able to deal with images, sound, videos, or whatever thing that might be interesting to get data from. The second thing, once you have organized the data inside your organization, you have created this system that it's a data ecosystem. The second thing you need to do is to be able to apply advanced data analysis. So the important thing here is what data analysis technique is the best for the project I have at hand. And this changed a lot, because in data analysis we have 2 worlds that for some time have been working quite apart, but they have very similar objectives. I'm talking about data mining, or if you want, statisticians, and we have machine learning. Machine learning is more from the computer science point of view. Both of them try to analyze data, but they start from a different perspective. Ones are more mathematicians, the other one are computer scientists. Both of them have pros and cons. And the thing is that in our master, you are going to be exposed to both aspects, machine learning and the statistical part of the analysis. And it's important because then for certain projects or certain tasks, you may be better fit one or another, and you need to learn which one is the most appropriate at each project. Also considering heterogeneous formats, because many times you will need to do some pre-processing to be able to also analyze, I don't know, images. Okay. The next thing is to define, design, and implement complex systems that cover all the phases. So be able to introduce, to ingest the data, to prepare it, structure it, and prepare it for the analysis that you decided. And finally, an important thing, because as I told you, data science is a means, it's not the end. We need to design and execute data science projects in a specific domains in an innovative manner. So whenever you are in a new project, in a new domain, how to, or what techniques from those that you learn would be the most appropriate in that moment, so that you are providing innovation. And data science is very much related to innovation, because it doesn't make any sense to conduct a data science project that you are replicating something that someone else did. Typically, you do a data science project to bring value, something new to your company that distinguish it from the competence. No? So you need to be different, add value here. So innovation is a must in this kind of projects. So if we go now to the syllabus of this master, you can go to this link here. So if we go there, load it. So this is our main informative website for the Master in Data Science, right? So here you have other information like a presentation that more or less tries to say the same I was describing up to now. But then if you go here to the curriculum, you will be able to see exactly the details. Sorry, 1 second, I missed the pointer here. No. Now. So here the master, as you see, oops, sorry. As you see, what we have is the main structure of the curriculum. So the curriculum of this master has 54 compulsory credits. It means that are credits that you cannot choose. They are mandatory to be taken, okay? Then you have 36 elective. So here you have options to take from. And finally, 30 of the master thesis, okay? So if we go down, you will see that we distinguish 3 big blocks in our mandatory courses, okay? These 54 credits that I was mentioning. The first one is what we call data science fundamentals. These are 2 courses, okay? So one of the things that you will realize is that data science is quite multidisciplinary. So what happens is that we don't have a single profile of a student in the master. So either we have people coming more from a mathematical background. Here we have statisticians, physicians, mathematicians, also people from other kind of engineering that they have a strong mathematical background. They are also kind of accepted in this master. And then the other natural way of point of entry to this master is computer science. So what we need to guarantee in this master is that everybody is set to follow the other courses. So that's why we have 2 fundamental courses, one covering the statistical inference and modeling, and the other one is more computer science related, which is algorithmics, data structures, and databases. Okay, these are 2 courses, as you can see here, that are part of the first semester and are mandatory for everybody. The only difference is that depending on your background, for example, if you are a computer scientist, in this course, ADSDB, you are not going to be taught about algorithms and databases again. You follow a different path. So here we acknowledge that there are different backgrounds and the course is adapted for these backgrounds, okay? But what we want to achieve with these 2 courses is that we can guarantee that everybody is set to follow the rest of courses at the right level, okay? That's why we have, or why we call them the data science fundamentals. Then we have courses, 18 courses on data management to create systems and data ecosystems. So here we have 3 courses, data warehousing, big data management, where here we tackle all the technologies to deal with big data, and semantic data management, which is basically graph-related techniques where we model data and analyze it from a graph perspective. And then finally, we have 24 credits on data analytics, okay? And here we have multivariate analysis. This would be a more statistical point of view of the problem of the analysis. Then we have process-oriented data science. This is a kind of course where we don't focus on data sets, but on processes. So many times in an organization, you don't have a single data set with some columns and some rows, no? What you have is a process that you need to look at it overall. So this course, what it does is how it changes when you need to do data science on top of a process, not on top of a set of data, right? This is process-oriented data science. Then we have machine learning, which is the computer science point of view of the data analysis. And finally, we have a course, which is mandatory because it's important nowadays in data science, is how to mine, so how to do data analysis on unstructured data. So on text, on videos, and so on. This is basically deep learning nowadays. The state of the art is deep learning. So basically, this is a course where you are introduced on how to use deep learning for other kind of data that is not that easy to mine and use. So if you've checked the two first semesters, you will see that the first semester is fixed, so you have 5 courses, so the 2 fundamental ones, plus data warehousing, multivariate analysis, and process-oriented data science. Then in the second semester, you have 4 more mandatory courses: big data management, semantic data management, machine learning, and mining and structured data. And here you can choose your first elective course, okay? The third semester is completely elective course, and the fourth one is devoted to the master thesis. So about the elective courses, you have 3 different tracks where you can choose courses from, okay? What we call them is deep dive in specific aspects of data science, applications of data science for specific domains, and finally, innovation and research, okay? These 3. The last one is the one that is trying to cover what I told you, the aspect of the business. Obviously, we are a technical faculty, so this is one thing that we put here as an elective courses. We typically encourage you to take at least one of them, but these are optional. Here you have viability of business projects, things like how to assess if my project is going to have an impact in the market and it's viable, okay? So from this point of view. Then we have a course on ethics. We have a course on how to do project management in a real project with a real companies that they propose to take projects, so how to deal with it. And finally, this last course is about innovation and research, how to do research on your own, no? So there is a course especially on this ambit. Then the other 2 are divided as follows. So one of them is for important domains that you may find in the future. So how to do data science in these domains, what are the usual techniques that they are used there. So the most usual ones that we typically cover is bioinformatics and statistical engineering, human language engineering, and data management for transportation, okay? So specific for logistics. The other group is courses that you can decide to go deeper into fundamental aspects of data science. Here you have 2 advanced courses, one on the statistical aspects of multivariate analysis and the other one in machine learning, which is here. But then you have many other aspects of optimization, like, for example, how to do optimization from a mathematical point of view of the analysis, how to do data analysis and knowledge discovery, one course specific on how to do analysis on social networks. So right now, graphs is one of the metaphors that are used more for representing data. So what kind of analysis are specific for graphs? When you have unstructured data, how you can do information retrieval. And here we also cover recommender systems. That is also a very trendy topic. And then again, we have a course on advanced statistical modeling and another one on the hardware or the cloud aspects, which is cloud computing and how to use services on the cloud, which is pretty trendy nowadays in Amazon or Google Cloud or whatever, how to deal with this kind of infrastructure. So basically, this is the structure of the semester. So some of the electives are offered here, so you can take them here in the second semester. The others you need to take. If you take 5 of 6 ECTS, you already fulfill the third semester. So you have some room to specialize on whatever is more interesting for you. Okay. So if we go back now to the main presentation, what I want to discuss here is one of the important trends or aspects of this master is that it's fully aligned with the reference master nowadays in Europe about big data management and analytics, which is BDMA. Our faculty also participates in this master. So during the second semester of the master in data science, indeed you are taking exactly the same courses at this master. They are courses that are shared between these 2 masters. And basically our master in data science is a pretty new master. It started only this last September. It was the first time it was offered. And the characteristic about it is that it's fully following the lessons learned in this European master. This European master is accepted by the European Union. It's what is called an Erasmus Mundus, which is a seal of quality and excellence. So what we can guarantee is that the local master fully meets the requirements that we are also doing in the big data management and analytics. Okay, it's the same foundational concepts that you are going to cover. Another thing that I like to share with you is that the master thesis is an important aspect in our master, because here is where you always do very interesting things. So I took some master theses just to show you what were done. I took several of them that were scored with the maximum mark, and also they are covering different domains. So the first one is in the health domain. So basically here the student was trying to build a model just to predict the different problems that a person could have with their diseases related with his heart or her heart. Okay, so traditionally in health, when you wanted to be diagnosed with cardiovascular problems, typically this was done based on morphology, so the form of your heart and its function. But what this thesis was trying to do is, together with people who were expert in this topic, try to model from a statistical point of view the blood flow and try to infer from it if this person could have problems. Okay, so they just had a model that worked pretty fine, and this was a very successful project together with a health institution that was participating here as well. And this is pretty usual. Our students in the master thesis, typically they are doing the master thesis in third parties. That could be specific research places or companies, or in this case it was a hospital. So this is pretty usual setting. The second one, completely different. It was trying to predict wind patterns in coastal areas. And this was related to the Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games, where you know that there is this sailing competition. So it was interesting and important for them to decide in which days it should take place this competition, right? So what this master thesis was doing is was try to predict, giving different input coming from the weather and other information from the sea, which days could be better for the training and the racing. Okay. The third one is another relevant topic that it's pretty interesting, which is traffic forecasting. This is very trending in smart cities. No? Nowadays, together with Internet of Things, the cities are getting more and more sensorized. There are plenty of sensors that you can take advantage of. So can we just use all the wealth of information generated by these sensors to try to predict what will be the forecast of traffic in certain areas? If you are able to simulate a whole city from the traffic perspective, then you can anticipate problems or bottlenecks that your network may have, right? The next one is again related to health, if you want. This is related to one successful spin-off that UPC has, and you may have seen in the news, is that this robotic exoskeleton that this company is using for people to let them walk again, people who had problems and lost mobility for whatever reason. No? So this master thesis, what they were trying is to try to predict when a person is really willing to perform a step. So the skeleton then could move like the person could move. No? So it had to include certain information coming from the person's nervous system, right? And then try to decide if this information that was arriving, it was meant to be this person trying to step over, right? So this was, for example, a very specific master thesis trying to predict with a model if the person is going or wants to perform a step so that the robotic exoskeleton needs to move. Another hot topic nowadays is deep neural networks. We have a lot of deep learning happening nowadays in data analysis. So, and one of these problems of these techniques is that they are a black box. They are not able to explain you why they are proposing to do something. Okay, So a topic that was tackled in this master thesis is, can we explain somehow why the neural network decided that this was the right outcome? So basically what we want to do here is to transform or open the black box, even if we cannot completely make it or transform it into a white box, at least in a gray box, no? Something that you have an intuition why the neural network is proposing something. Because at the end, one of the things that you will be trained during the master is that you cannot blindly follow a model. So you always need to interpret and decide if what the model is proposing makes sense or not. The models at the end, most of them, from one point of view or another, they are kind of biased, no? Depending on how they are trained. So you need to acknowledge if what they are proposing, especially in health-related fields, you need a validation, right? So explainability is essential to be able to have this explainability or this validation by a human. And the last one that I included here is this one, that instead of analyzing data sets, it was analyzing processes. So companies can model their operations like processes, right? So if you think of a car building company, so you have a lot of steps that happen one after the other, no? So you have a lot of information that happens from between one step and the other. So information of how many wheels I'm producing per day or whatever, no? Or how many I'm assembling. So the thing was, can we analyze the process and detect bottlenecks? Where are the bottlenecks? Where are the main problems that are happening in this process, so that I can fix it? And in the end, what I'm achieving is being more efficient, and this links saving money, right, for the company. So this thesis, what they were using is using natural language descriptions of processes. So they were making it very easy. So you didn't have to really annotate the processes in a very complex way. Just with natural language descriptions of the processes, they were able to validate and assess your processes, no? The efficiency of your process. So as you saw, I just presented a bit of everything. One interesting thing of our master thesis, and one of the interesting thing that I will present a bit later, is that our lecturers and our master thesis proctors, they are very related to research and innovation. So it's very easy to find during your master thesis an interest that it's really doing some innovation or research aspect in a real domain, no? So because we are participating in research projects, in innovation projects, and then the master students really in a very natural way participate there, no? So they have this domain application that I think I do believe that this brings a lot of value to your master thesis. So some numbers about the while and afterwards of the masters. So, one key trend of our students, and this is happening more and more, is that around 80% of the students work or do research while studying. Sometimes they start focusing on the first semesters fully on the master, but then they go on and eventually they end up working or doing research. The trend that I'm identifying nowadays is that every time you start working earlier and earlier, no? As I was telling you, there is a lack of data scientists, so you find a lot of good perspectives to start working, and so it's pretty easy that our students are somehow dealing with the two things at the same time, no? Studying and working. The important thing is that there are a lot of research groups around this master that they are absorbing our students. For example, the Barcelona Supercomputing Center is taking a lot of our students to work while they are there. They need a lot of work, but our research groups from UPC as well. So here is pretty easy from your point of view, and I will discuss it later, that if you want to do research or participate in innovation projects, it's pretty easy. There will be a lot of options. The second point is that there are strong connections with companies. So from time to time, we are just publishing regular job offers. Obviously, we always filter them, and we guarantee that the job offers that arrive are the good quality. But we have good and long-lasting ties with some companies that we know that our students were taking care properly. So we are strengthening these connections. Importantly, 99% of our alumni was working in less than 3 months after finishing the studies. No? So basically, there is, if you want to, you will be working as soon as you want, right? And our alumni are spread all over the world. Basically, because we have a fair share of internationalization, which is the thing that I'm writing here down. So less than 45% of the students come from Barcelona or its area. and around 30% of our students who are taking the master decide to move abroad during the second year, which is again something that I promote very much. I think this is value for your CV. It's interesting that you consider mobility during the second year. Go to another country, go to another program, learn from another culture and from another university. And as you will see also in a few minutes, we have connections with very strong universities where you will also be able to continue with high quality education. And what kind of job positions our alumni is taking? So, well, you have here some of them. So data scientist, data analyst, chief data officer. This is quite a trendy job position disappearing now. Is a person who is taking care of the whole data ecosystem into the company from the ingestion till the analysis. Data engineer, this is more in the computer science point of view, while data analyst is more in the mathematical aspects. Knowledge engineer is also in this aspect. Data architect, data researcher, digital transformation leader. I mean, it's anything related with data and the impact of data inside the company. Okay. So an interesting thing about our master is that you can sign what we call Convenis de Colaboración Universitat-Empresa, CCE. You have this link here. By the way, I didn't explicitly mention, but this presentation will be available online after the talk, and a few days after we will communicate it to you. Also the video, because this session is being recorded, so you can then later follow these links. So basically here you have the information. This is a snapshot of the website, information for companies, for students, and the regulations of these convenies. Basically, this is a win-win situation for the company and for the student, and typically the companies do want to follow this because it's a nice way for them to formalize internships, because they pay less taxes, and from your side, because you are guaranteed a minimum amount of money per hour. Okay, they cannot pay less than that. Anyhow, in data science, don't worry, because it's not a problem. The companies are not going to bargain you about the price that they are paying you per hour. They happily pay what we are being asked in the faculty, and in general in our masters. But so the thing is, you can take these internships as part of the master. The only thing you need to be careful with is that in this master we do not recognize elective credits for taking internships. Okay, so you can do them, you can do internships, but you cannot claim elective credits for it. The only option to acknowledge these internships as part of the curriculum is with the master thesis. In this case, this is fine. You can do the master thesis in a company and then sign an internship, and then this internship via the CCE will acknowledge or will compensate these 30 CTS of the master. This is the only way to consider curricular practices during the master. This is what we call in the faculty modality B or D. Modality B is basically a master thesis taking place in a company, and modality D is master thesis taking place in a company, but a foreign one, so not national company. So if you move to somewhere else to do the master thesis in a company. So about mobility and internationalization, this is another of our strengths that, as I said, I always try to convince you to consider it, at least during the second year. There are plenty of options. So as I told you, we are very well considered internationally, and we are very well placed internationally. So also Barcelona is an attractive city for students coming. So it's easy for us to sign agreements with multiple of universities. Indeed, nowadays we have more than 189 potential agreements that you may want to follow for mobility, with 181 universities in 41 countries. It means that the offer is very large. Okay, so you can study abroad 1 or 2 semesters. Typically, this is in the 3rd or 4th semester of the master. Okay, or you can go the whole second year abroad. So what kind of programs do you have to do this? So there are, the Erasmus Plus is the most famous one, okay, but you have other ones like this in CERN, that it's a popular one typically happening during the summer breaks. Programs with Latin America, the States, and Canada. We have also a program with the National Institute of Informatics in Tokyo, and programs with China. So basically, if you are interested in any country in the world, most probably we have an agreement with a university there. Importantly, most of these mobility programs also entail scholarships. So whenever you are awarded a position for this exchange mobility program, you also sometimes, in some of them, you have a scholarship that sometimes do not cover the full expenses, but at least they cover something and they are interesting to apply. You can move with one of these mobilities, but you can also move for an internship, just to go for a research center or a company abroad. No? This would be modality D that I mentioned before for the TFM. So here are the calls: Erasmus+, IAESTE, IESEC, Entry Park. Again, just follow the link and you will have all the information. But there are other kind of activities that you can do via mobility. For example, summer schools, short stays. The Google Summer Code is another thing that, for example, we typically offer. Things like that, that they are specific from time to time. If you are interested in mobility and internationalization, so we have a website which is pretty clear in all the steps. In the case that you are a student, then what you need to check is this outgoing element here. It tells you all the information that you need to fulfill to move abroad. And the important thing, the thing that you need to be aware of, is that mobility needs to be planned well ahead. So what I always suggest you is that whenever you start the master, start getting information about it, because the calendars to apply for these programs typically are 6 months in advance or even more. So you need to plan very well ahead, and sometimes apply during the first or second semester to move in the third or fourth. Okay. So we have this website here with the mobility calendar, which are here they are telling you which calls are open at every moment. No, for example, when I took the snapshot, the Google Summer Code was open from April during April, right? Or this application for foreign universities programs in Erasmus Plus in Latin America, Taiwan, China, and so on. It was also open in a certain periods. And then the ones with the X, it means that they have already passed. Okay, so it's important you keep an eye in this website, not to miss opportunities, okay? Because as I insist, they are well ahead to be planned. And for this reason, we always schedule 2 information sessions. Obviously, these ones are not worth for you, but I keep them here just to let you know more or less what are the dates you can expect next year to happen. So we have one in the first semester and a second one in the second semester. So around mid-November and mid-February, we have information sessions that you may want to attend in order not to miss and understand how mobility needs to do. There is some paperwork just to guarantee it and follow some processes. That the only important thing is not to miss them. Okay. As I told you, the website is pretty complete and there are a lot of information, but yet if you need to clarify whatever aspect, we have a special email in the faculty just to attend these mobility and international aspects. And let me tell you something at this point. I'm pretty used to evaluate strong curriculums for master and PhDs and things like that, okay? And one important thing that you need to also take into account during the master is to build up your CV. It's also important for companies. So being abroad for a semester, being working or doing research in a lab, these kind of things strengthen your CV. And then it will open doors. Many times when you are just doing the master and so on, you just think that, okay, just scoring high in the courses will be enough. Well, sometimes the competition is hard. And what you need to do is just to create your own profile that's appealing for companies, for the institutes that are going to hire you. So mobility, internships, doing research, these kind of things are interesting, right? So just consider during the master, complete your CV in order to have higher opportunities when moving further after the master. And this is one of the other steps that I want to focus. Data science has a very important aspect related to research and innovation. So one of the good things is that UPC is leading in this aspect. And the good thing is that, for example, UPC is the top university obtaining H2020 projects, and we had a press announcement at UPC a few years ago. H2020 projects are the cutting-edge innovation projects in Europe, no, that typically require to prove that you are going to bring some real strong innovation into the market. We have means to promote startups, spin-offs, and technology transfer. UPC has offices that you, for being students, you can access to them for free, where they can help you to assess if you want to start one of these kind of things. And also UPC is leading in their Development Cooperation Center, which is a center just to help in development cooperation, typically with second world or third world countries, where you can just conduct projects that bring value to society, right? So an advice that I typically have for you is complement your time during the master with added value tasks. This will complete your CV and will put you in a very prominent position depending on what you want to do later. Okay? Importantly, all the staff that you are going to meet in the master, they are researchers and they are participating in H2020 projects with companies, they are doing research, they are very used to it. And what happens is that we need people to be participating in these projects. So there are always calls of research groups that they are just trying to find students to participate there. How do we formalize this research experience? Typically with the agreements that I mentioned before, these internships, or what we call research grants, which are specific research grants for the students of the faculty. We have research in almost any field that you may think of. This is a polytechnic university, and as such, many departments are participating in this master. So we have mathematics, business administration, computer architecture, physics, services and information system engineering, computer science, statistics and operational research, systems engineering, automatic control and industrial informatics. I mean, quite a large offer of very different and varied research topics. And with this, I would finalize the main discussion about the master. So if you want to enroll, this is the procedure. So basically, this is the procedure to follow for any UPC master. This is not specific of the data science master. So basically, there are 6 steps. The first one is when you register by entering your personal and academic details. Then you need to pay a tax of 30 euros to start the process. At this moment, then you are evaluated by the admission commission into the master. The admission commission will give you an answer to your application, okay, and they will let you know if you are accepted or rejected into this master. If you are accepted, you must accept the place. So you must go to the system and say, I want to take the master, okay? So you need to make an action from your side. And then to block this position, to save a position in the master for next year, you need to pay 300 euro, but this money that you pay will be deducted from the enrollment fee. So later when you enroll in the master, you don't need to pay this 300 euro again. So it's kind of advancing this money just to secure your position in the master. And finally, all this process finishes when you properly enroll and provide the original documents. That this year is going to happen in the last week of July. Okay, enrollment happens in July this year. So the pre-enrollment is from 1st March to 27th of May. So if you want to start the process to be acknowledged or to be assessed if your application is accepted or not, you need to do it the latest, the 27th of May. We break it into 2 periods. One of them already passed. Is for those who already applied before the 22nd of April, we are tentatively notifying this or next week if they are accepted into the master. But we have a second round that you are still on time for it, which is those of you applying till the 27th of May, you will be notified in the next week if you are accepted or not. So wherever the option you take, by 3rd June, you will know if you are accepted into the program. Okay. For the admission criteria, you have here the link. Typical questions that I typically get are answered here. For example, let me just go here just to show you. If you go to admission, here we are taking you what we expect from the applicant profiles. No? So we expect some technical competences, but we also expect some abilities. This is a demanding master because, as I was telling you, it's not a pure computer science master, it's not a pure mathematical master, so you need to bridge between these things. Sometimes, for some profiles, it's easier courses in one area or the other. So sometimes it requires a lot of work from your side. So we need aptitude for study and organizing and your learning, advanced skill for logical reasoning and problem solving. So if you have evidences that can back up that you are going to be a good student from this perspective, include it in your application, okay? In your application, we do not only consider marks. Many times applicants ask me, is just having high marks in my bachelor the only thing you are going to consider? And the answer is no. So So we consider many things, what I was telling you before. For me, it's interesting that when we generate a cohort, a group of students that are going to study together, this is a varied set of students, because then you learn from each other. So it's important that this represented a multidisciplinary kind of people, right? So you will be working with mathematicians, computer science, people coming from physics, people coming from classical engineering. This is positive because each of you add value, but also we evaluate very much that people are eager to learn, that they are interested to doing things. No? So if you would like to also participate into research, take internships, mobility, that we see that you are really going to stretch to the maximum the time you are spending here in the faculty, right? That you are going to take advantage of all this. Because if we have motivated individuals, the cohort is very motivated, the value is much more. This is proved, right? When you have a motivated set of individuals, at the end is much better. So we evaluate that you are adding value to the group. And you can add value not only from your high marks, from many other aspects. So try to be appealing when writing your application, right? So here you have the abilities, capabilities, attitudes that we expect. Also, another kind of the question that we get quite often is, what are the recommended bachelor degrees of entry points, right? Oops, sorry, which is this part here. So as I told you, data science covers computer science and mathematics. So anyone coming from these degrees are very much welcome. But nowadays we have a lot of bachelors that meet this requirement without being specifically computer science or mathematics. For example, we have a lot of students coming from physics. This is a very common entry point for our master. From statistics, telecommunication engineering, this is very common again, because they have the foundations to follow the master. Civil engineering, they are strong in mathematics. This is good for us, and typically most of the civil engineering faculties nowadays, they have some basics of computer science, so they are very easily welcome. Industrial technologies and so on and so forth. So basically, you need to have some minimum of computer science and mathematics. So if you are coming from an engineering, your mathematics background is fine. Then what we also check is that you have some minimum about computer science. So what is important is that you know how to do some programming, some basics and algorithms, some basics and databases. Sometimes what happens is that some of you come from a faculty where maybe you have been very strong from the mathematical point of view, but you tell me, I feel very weak, for example, I don't know, in databases. Just contact me, because then what we typically accept is that if you take some online courses that strengthen your background there, and you take them before applying, then this is a quality evidence that we may consider to accept your application, okay? So, going back to the main presentation, so in our masters in general, there might be the case that there is a third period of application if there are empty positions or positions available, but this is unlikely to happen to this master. This master typically is full after the first and the second period of admissions, right? So do not expect a third period of application. So if you want to apply to this master, do it before the 27th of May. Okay. By the way, the number of seats that we typically have for this master is 40. We accept 40 people every year. So to do the pre-enrollment, go to the mastersfibupc.edu, look for data science, and then if you scroll down, you will find here in the pre-enrollment is where you start the first stage of the enrollment, right, for the master. Here you need to provide all the required documentation to evaluate your admission, and then, importantly, when you have filled all the fields, a button will be activated, a button to pay, and then when you pay this €30 tax, is then when your application reaches the faculty, and then you are passed to the commission that will evaluate people applying to the master. The UPC nevertheless have a very thorough and easy to follow explanation about the pre-enrollment, that this link here that you may want to follow as well. So what happens for admissions? Well, admission basically is that when you submit your application, you may get these outcomes from the commission, right? So accept, it means that you are accepted to follow the master. So if you secure your position paying the €300 I mentioned before, you have a seat guaranteed next year. And then the next step is to do the enrollment, the formal enrollment at the end of July. You are in. Reject is because we saw some problems in your background. Either you are missing mathematics or computer science to follow the master. Okay, this is typically the outcome of reject. And then we have two other potential outcomes. Postpone is only for those applying in the first period. That it means that your final decision is postponed to the end of the second period. Okay, it depends if your case is kind of borderline or there are a lot of applications and we don't have a clear outcome for you, we delay the answer. And then we have the waiting list. So postpone typically means that you are going to go in the waiting list, then the waiting list is formally created at the end of the second period. Okay. So, and here is the semantics of what I was explaining. No? Accepted means that you are accepted into the program. So if you make the payment to secure your seat, you have a guaranteed seat to start the master in the next year. Postpone, it means that you need to wait till the end of the second period. So until the 3rd of June to know if you are accepted or included in the waiting list. Rejected is that unfortunately we see that you cannot follow with your current background, and waiting list would mean that you will be contacted if some people drop out. And there are some always dropouts, okay? So if you are in the waiting list, it does not mean that you don't have any option. So typically we always need to go to the first positions of the waiting list because some people drop out for whatever reason. There are many reasons that a person may drop out, okay? So it means that typically that's why we are doing the enrollment in the last week of July, because if people are dropping out during the enrollment, they do not officially enroll, we will follow the waiting list during this week, the end of July. Okay. So in any case, you may know, if you are in the waiting list, by the end of July, you may know if you are accepted into the program. So about prices, these are the prices from the current year, not the year that you are going to pay. Okay, the prices for the next year will be published in July, so I cannot advance them. Okay. So this is the prices. If you are a European applicant, it's 27 euros per ECTS, and if you are non-European, it's 41 euro per ECTS. Nevertheless, the information we have is that the prices for next year will stay the same or even go lower, but we don't know till July. Okay, so in the worst case, just assume that this will be the price. So more things. Our faculty have a set of grants that some organizations provide in order to support you from a financial point of view. These are specific from the faculty, so you need to go to this link and check if you can apply in any of them, right? So these are organizations that they see value in our masters, so they are willing to fund some of our students to do the master. Typically what you need to do is that when doing an internship, they ask you to do the internship in their organization. Okay, this is the counterpart to get the grant, but you can find the details here. There is also the overall grant from the Ministry of Education. This grant can be applied by any citizen, Spanish citizen, so you need to have the Spanish citizenship. And the important thing about these grants is that it has changed a bit this year. The first thing is that they have tightened quite a lot the application period. You need to apply for this grant before 12 May. 12 May, so now, very early, right? So this is way earlier than previous years. But an important thing that sometimes confuses you, you can apply to this grant without knowing which master you are going to take. Because during the first phase of this grant, the only thing that they are going to check is your financial background and see if your marks from the bachelor are good enough. So they do a kind of a check only of these two things. In September, if you are accepted, they ask you which master you are going to take is when you need to inform. So you can apply to these grants even if you are not even sure you are going to do a master. Okay? Because if you don't do it now, you don't have the opportunity to do it later. So I put here two links with further details about these grants and also a support video from UPC how to do the application. Okay, just don't miss it if you have the opportunity to apply to this grant. And finally, the last thing that I would like to promote is that we have a strong community around the faculty. There are a lot of things going on, and as I was telling you, it's interesting that your CV is complete. So just consider doing other things to show that you are engaged in different aspects related with whatever that you may be interested, no? So there is a website that our faculty maintains to let you know what kind of community we have here. The most important aspect most probably is the associations, student associations about certain topics that you may want to enroll. Here you have topics like Linux or FIP Visiona, which is taking place this week, right? Which is puts in contact students with companies and whatever. And there are a lot of things like, for example, Hackers UPC, that they are organizing the Hack UPC the 4th of May. So I think it's not this Sunday, the next one. And this is one of the biggest hackathons in Europe, and it's organized by one of these associations, which they put a lot of effort there. So as I told you, there are a lot of events that are happening, sometimes organized by the community, not really by the faculty, like I mentioned the Hack UPC or the Game Jam Barcelona. And then a lot of other things, like the hackathon related to Beach per la Marató, which is a social for the overall good activity that happens every year near December. We have activities like Women in Data Science to promote women in this aspect. The Top Secret Roses, that also to promote data science. Summer schools, you have plenty of summer schools around our research groups. This is one related to the Big Data Management and Analytics that is taking in Cesena this July 2022. We have the Advanced Factories event, just about Industry 4.0. We have FIP Visiona that I mentioned to put students with companies in contact. There are a lot of opportunities and things happening, and sometimes our students do not realize about it. Just go to the website. In our website, typically we advertise all this. Just keep an eye open, because there are many interesting things happening all year long. And finally, some frequently asked questions that I may anticipate to them. So the first one is, if you have not finished your undergraduate studies, can you apply to the master? And this is a big yes. So when you apply to the master, you don't really need to finish your bachelor. You need to finish your bachelor by the time you start the master, not when you apply, okay? So if you are accepted and you have not finished your graduate yet, what you have is a conditional acceptance condition to finish on time. And indeed, you don't even need to finish in September. We allow people finishing the master thesis in October. However, this is a specific case that if this is your case, contact us via the contact information I provided, it's Severan Polish, and I will provide in the last slide to better advise you how to proceed. Another question is, can I work and study at the same time? Well, another big yes. It's happening quite a lot. No, it's something that it's happening very naturally, and most probably you will be doing that. Will the next academic course be a regular one? We expect so. I think that all these things with the COVID has passed, and we are expecting going back. So indeed, for those of you who are online, we are here without masks, the ones in face-to-face, only from this week on, right? Which is a relief, finally. And what about new incoming students? What about if I come from abroad? So enrollment registration is happening online. Okay, so registration, that is, I told you, happens in the last week of July, happens online. So if you are, for some reason, abroad yet in July, you can still enroll from wherever you are. What happens typically is that the Secretariat will ask you to bring some papers, official papers that you may need to formalize your registration. But if this is needed, when you come in September, you can bring these papers, okay? So they will contact you and inform you duly if needed, okay? And that's all. So I provide here two contact information. Myself, I'm the Vice Dean of Postgraduate Students, so you can reach me with this email. So reach me whenever you have academic doubts. For example, if you want to know if with your background, the studies that you do, if it's a good point to enter the master, this master, it's better you ask these kind of questions to me, okay? But if you have questions about administrative stuff or things related more about the process of applying and all this, it's better you contact our team, because I'm the face today talking here, but behind the masters there is a big team of people working. There's a person here already, right, with me, but there are quite others also connected online nowadays that they can also help you and support you with your questions. An important thing to also know is that when you are accepted in this master, you are assigned a tutor that can help you during the whole master to advise you what to do, because sometimes you have doubts about which courses to take. I'm going to take the master part-time, which courses to enroll first. This kind of thing is good that you ask, okay? So there will be a tutor always supporting you. And that's it. So if you have further questions, do not hesitate to contact us. And now we will start with questions here in the room, face-to-face. Meanwhile, for those people who are online, if you have questions, you have two options. Either you write question in the chat, and then when the time comes, I will just name you and please activate the mic and make your questions. Or you can write your question in the chat, so I will read it aloud and then we will answer it, okay? So while you write your questions in the chat, let's see if the people here have any question or you would like to ask anything. One second that we will use the mic so people from home can listen to you.
My name is Angelo. I come from Venezuela. I'm a merchant marine officer. I study mechanical engineer. Well, it's not it's more related to maintenance on ships. In 2003, after that, I made a degree here, the same degree in the Polytechnic University in the nautical faculty. And I would like to know if now I'm trying to develop my own business. So this is why I'm interested to do this master, and I would like to know if, well, I have strong abilities in mathematics, but not so deep, because my purpose to do this master is to develop my own business. So this is about my question that you already answered in the explanation of the.
So you can contact me if you want to give a more accurate advice, let's say. But in general, what I would say is that if you feel that you are weaker in the sense of computer science courses, contact me, because there are quite a few online courses that will allow you to give the basics. Be aware that in the first semester, there is a course for people of your profile to really go into algorithms, databases, and data structures, okay? But this course goes very fast. So what I propose, because in one semester we are covering a lot of material, so what I always recommend to your kind of profile is this course is meant to cover this gap, but in order to not be overwhelmed with the amount of information you will receive there, it's good that you prepare taking some courses so that you are not fully exposed to the novelty of all these things, because we go very deep there. We, for example, we don't talk about the syntax of Python or something like that. We go to algorithms. And what we want you is to be able to develop efficient algorithms, because we want you to be able to code efficiently in a good manner. Of course that you need to learn the syntax of a programming language, but we go beyond there, okay? So we will introduce you to data structures, how to use them, how to manage them in an efficient way. Also from the database point of view, we go into SQL, but not only in SQL, also how the database works internally and do optimization techniques to execute the SQL query. So it can be a bit overwhelming because it's one course that covers what in the Bachelor were 2-3 courses, right? So my advice always to this kind of profile is contact me in advance. Also for the application even, it will help you if you can already provide that you were taking these courses and helping it, because this will put you in a much better situation to take benefit of the master, right?
Even I'm waiting a position in Barcelona Activa to do a course related to data science. Those courses are very short, but those courses are free. So I'm waiting for this. In these 2 weeks, I'm waiting for a place to do this course.
This is good, but be careful. But what we typically check is that these courses go into fundamentals. So sometimes, okay. Because sometimes what you have is courses just to expose someone to kind of shallow, you know? So that's why the courses that they have identified online that they can pass to whoever is interested are courses that go deep into the fundamentals. This way you will be in a good position, because the other courses that will come later, they will assume that you are a good programmer, that you have a background there. Then you can suffer a lot, because besides the complexity of the practices and the labs itself, because this master is very much into hands-on. So most of our courses have 2 hours of theory per week, but 2 hours of lab with hands-on tools. So it means that you need to code a lot during the master, you need to develop systems and so on. So it's very important that after the first semester you feel very strong. because then otherwise this is quite overwhelming, no? People get there, I mean, but you need to prepare. I would say it's a good advice to prepare so you start better the first semester. Okay, so let's move to the online questions. We have a question in the chat from Camilo. Are social, cognitive, and behavioral science topics covered in any course? So these things, in general, in our courses, we cover some of these things, but especially in elective courses. So it will depend of what is your special. If you are tackling it from a social perspective, let's say, I would say that there are one elective course that I would need to check if this is really covered or not. But maybe you can just drop me an email and I will check to be sure to answer this. Okay, Camilo? Then we have a second question from Rafael, which is when the master starts. Is there enrollment to start in February? The master starts typically the second week of September, pretty early in September. Okay. We do not have enrollment in February because the first semester of this master is important in the sense that it sets the foundations to be able to follow the rest of the master. So starting in February makes you start in the second semester already, which is not advisable. That's why we do not accept enrollment in February. Further, this master gets full in September, so we have 40 positions already covered in September, so there is no enrollment in February, okay? Jose is asking, sorry if it has already mentioned, is it possible to partially course the master? I work as a data engineer from 8 to 5 with some flexibility. Are the classes recorded? Is there a minimal assistance? I was planning to course 6 courses per year. Is it possible? I forgot to answer this, Jose, so thank you for your question. Indeed, this master can be taken in part-time. So the lectures of this master are in the afternoon. I forgot to say that. Okay, so they are in the afternoon, and this is to facilitate conciling with work. Okay, so typically our lectures start the sooner at 2 p.m. or 3 p.m. I don't remember exactly now. Okay, so the classes are not recorded; they are face-to-face, but there are no minimal assistance. So I mean, the courses have their materials, they have their evaluation activities. Every course, whenever at the beginning of the semester, you have all the information when the courses happen and when the evaluation activities happen. So you need to be sure that you are able to participate in these ones for sure. The rest is up to you, like in the Bachelor, right? You decide to go or not to the lectures. Even, of course, I would say that it's advisable that you go to the lectures. So about part-time, you can take the master part-time. If I remember well, it's 18 ECTS per semester, right? So it means that you need to enroll 18 ECTS per semester, and I think you need to inform the secretariat that you are going to do the master part-time. So you need to inform them, enroll part-time, and then you enroll 18 ECTS, which is 3 courses, right? Which is aligned with what you were saying of 6 courses per year. Okay, so this is a possibility, and this is fine. The next question is from Gustavo. Can we homologate some signatures with work experience? No, this master doesn't allow that. So we don't compensate elective credits neither with internships nor with working experience. Valerie is asking, do we need to know SQL beforehand? Well, this is what I was answering before. So there is one course where you will be learning SQL in the first semester. However, my advice is that if you are truly coming without any SQL background, please contact me, take some courses before that, because this course in the first semester on basics on computer science goes very fast. So it's important that you do some work before that course just to be or take the maximum of the learning of that course. Otherwise, you might feel a bit overwhelming. Okay, so my advice is do not come bare hand to that course from the programming, algorithms, and SQL perspective. Oscar is asking, is there a lot of applicants in this master? I'm actually studying physics at UIB, and although we have worked with Python and C or C++, I don't feel strong enough with programming. well, this master is quite successful, I would say. There are quite a lot of applications, but what I was telling you is that we really accept multidisciplinary profiles. What I would tell you is that if you don't feel comfortable with programming, the question I would have for you is, do you feel in a position to study and prepare yourself before starting? This is, for me, the key aspect, right? We have physics students here. For example, the students that come from UPC in physics, they come with a very good programming level. I'm not aware of the one from UAB, but just remember what I've been repeating up to now. You have a course in the first semester where you will be going very deep into algorithms, SQL, and so on. So what I would expect from you is that you reach the first semester with some basics, some background that you can strengthen and take it seriously during the first semester to really reach a good level of maturity in programming and coding, because this is necessary for the rest of the master. Gustavo is asking, are there some scholarships for foreign people? So the website that I put for financial aid, there you can find scholarships that are for anybody. I think that most of them are not restricted by nationality. The only one that is restricted by nationality is the grant from the Spanish Ministry of Education. That one you need to be a Spanish citizen. But for the other grants that you can find there, I would say most of them do not have this constraint at all. So it's for any student or applicant to the master. Oscar is asking, I take any previous courses to feel stronger programming? Yes, drop me an email and I will tell you exactly which courses to take, because I know what is the content of the course that you are going to do in the first semester, so I can tell you exactly what would be advisable to take, right? So if you are okay with that, the best thing then is to drop me an email and I will inform you duly what is the best way to prepare, okay? Pau is asking, where will you upload the meeting? Well, we need to process the recording and just cut it and prepare it. Typically would say 4 or 5 days or something like that. It's typically what it takes to upload this recording and also the slides, okay? And John is asking, will the academic calendar for 22-23 be uploaded anytime soon? As far as I know, it's going to be discussed, and this is published typically in June, no? I think, or
June, July, yeah.
June, July is when the academic calendar is published. Nevertheless, there are always differences from year to year, right? But if you check the academic calendar from this year, you can have already an idea how the year is structured. Here at the faculty, we have a semester starting in September and going till Christmas. Then in January, you have exams. And then the last weeks of January, the 1st of February, typically is a break. So there are no lectures. Then the second semester starts in February and goes till the end of May, exams in June, and then the summer break. Okay. Okay, any further question from online or from the audience here, if you have any other questions?
Your email?
Yes, mine is this one. Let me just go to the previous one. Any further question? Well, thank you very much then for your time, for your interest in our master, and please, if you have any further question, do not hesitate to contact us. We will gladly answer your questions. So again, in the name of the faculty and the master's team, thank you for your interest and thank you for being here. Bye.